How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be going over some of the best ways to make gold in New World with the tracking and skinning trade skill. But first, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. It helps out massively. Now, let's get into it. This is a new series in which I'll go through all of the trade skills in New World and show you some of my favorite ways to utilize the skill to make gold off of it. I'll try to keep the methods varied and not too basic to keep things interesting. Last time out, we looked at the logging skill, so if you want to check that out, it'll be linked in the video description and at the end of this video. But this time, we're going to be going over the tracking and skinning skill. The methods I chose for this video are ones I've used frequently over the years, so I'll first go over what it is you'll be doing in them, where I like to go do them, how much I managed to gather in 1 hour at said locations, and the profits you can expect, based on prices in your server. I'll also give you a couple alternate spots, if the items I chose to farm for the methods isn't as valuable as others in your server. But like with every gold making method, I need to add the disclaimer that prices differ in every server, so make sure you check out that the method is profitable in your server before trying it. I'll give you the big ticket items you can expect from each method, along with how much they are currently going for in the Fresh Start server Cathasia, so you can see how much per hour will be made, and then change the numbers based on the prices in your server to see how much you can expect from each method in your server. Now, before we get into the methods, let's first go over some tips and tricks you can use to really squeeze every bit of efficiency out of your runs. I understand some of this stuff can be expensive, especially on new servers, and it's by no means necessary to have everything I mentioned before doing any of the methods I'm about to go over, but it's just something that's worth knowing about that maybe you can slowly put some gold towards as you're doing the methods, if you really enjoy making gold with that trade skill and want to make even more from it in the future. You could also just buy lower tiered versions of everything mentioned as well, and still make really good profits out on your grinds. If you already know how to maximize your runs though, feel free to use the timestamps below to jump ahead to method number 1. But let's start off with skilling gear. Top tier skinning gear will go a long way when it comes to your runs, giving you a massive bonus to skinning yield and luck. Probably the biggest benefit of having a set like this is all the bonus dexterity you will get from it. If you make a build with this equipment in a gear set with the right weapons and jewelry, you can have it so whenever you switch over your skinning set, you'll have over 400 dexterity while wearing it, which will give you all of the amazing benefits seen on screen, increasing your speeds and yield overall. When it comes to the jewelry you choose for your gear set, the only real one of note to look out for is the amulet slot, as you can get an amulet with skinning luck on it. For the rest, just get what you can with dexterity on it or amplify. I do like hardy on my rings though, for the extra dodge roll to get around faster. When it comes to the weapons I like to have in the gear sets, mobility weapons are the best, so like Fire Staff, Great Axe, or Rapier are awesome, so I can use their mobility skills to get around faster. Then, just make sure you have Dexterity or Magnify as their stat bonus to get you to the Dexterity cap. After gear, another massive factor in your gold per hour is your skilling tool, so in this case the skinning knife. Having a top tier knife will not only allow you to skin your prey a lot faster, but they can stack up some pretty nice perks as well. You can make one of these for yourself or purchase one on the trading post, and I'll show you some of the best perks you want to try to get for your knife. I like to always have skinning efficiency, yield, and luck on there, plus an alignment perk for the most profitable mote in your server. So go on the trading post, see which of these motes sells for the most, and try to get a knife with that on it. This is going to add massive amounts of bonus gold onto your runs in the long run, just worth splashing a bit of cash to get the right one. Or you can make sure all of your tools have different ones, just to diversify, in case prices change, and to help sell them all faster. As for the final perk, it isn't massively game changing either way, but I really like gathering alacrity, so I can get that big speed boost to get to my next target after skinning. There's already some speed perks built into the dexterity bonuses though, so it isn't that vital. But if you can't find an axe at a reasonable price, with all of them on it, Azoth distraction isn't bad at all. But you'll want to make sure you're staying on top of turning your Azoth into extra cash. Whenever you're nearing Azoth cap, from all the gathering you're doing, go trade it in for top tier resources of the highest value in your server. The bonus gold you get from doing this will just about balance out with how much more you'd have been making with gathering alacrity. But now that we've gone over skilling gear and tools, there's just a couple more little things to know about that'll help you out in your runs. For starters, top tier skinning trophies in all 3 of your homes, going out PvP flag for bonus global luck, and music buffs are all great things to remember before heading out on your runs. For music buffs, you have several options, based on what will benefit you the most, but I like to go with Fortune's Favor to get the gathering yield increase. Other options include Never Stop Learning to get more XP from your skill, Luck's Labor to get more gathering luck, Song in Your Step to increase inventory space, or Decidedly Dexterous to gather faster. Next up is bags, and because they're probably the most expensive of the lot, I'd say go for these last, but if you can get top tier bags, you'll be able to increase your run times exponentially, mainly due to the larger inventory space, which will allow for longer runs. but also having something like lasting consumption on a couple of bags is great to increase the time of your foods, or town loyalty to get that bonus territory standing. I'll show on screen some of the better perks to go after, but for sure try to make sure that your bag has the extra pockets perk for added weight. And, if you mainly do skinning, Tanner's Burden is really helpful to reduce the weight of all hides in your inventory. Or if your tool has the Azoth Attunement perk on it, you can go for Azoth Attuned to max out your Azoth gains as well. This is an expensive task to get maxed out bags with the perfect perks for you, but just get the best ones you can afford, and don't stress out too much about it, because it isn't the biggest of game changers. And finally, there's consumables. You can take proficiency booster potions while out on your runs to get additional resources, or if you have any leftover augments to use up from the season pass, you can use them instead. I tend to go for the proficiency booster augment first, for that bonus yield, but gathering XP can help too if you're not max level yet in your skill of choice. Do note though, that you can't use the proficiency booster potion and augment at the same time. The potions tend to earn you 5% more resources than the augments do, but they do cost you gold, and the augments are given to you for free, so it's worth deciding which is the best way to go for you. Along with those, you can also eat some grilled tenderloin and vegetables trade skill food for a big chunk of bonus skinning luck. This can be eaten alongside the previously mentioned boosters. But now that we've gone over all of the ways to maximize your efficiency, let's get started with the methods. To calculate the gold per hour for each method, I did the runs using all of the bonuses mentioned above, but with slightly less than BIS bags, and not being PvP flagged, in case any of you don't like PvPing. And all of the prices to calculate the results are based on the Cathasia Fresh Start server. Now, on to method number 1, and for this one, we're going to be looking at the hide farming method. When it comes to what hides to farm, it's not as straightforward as you'd think. Most people would assume, just go for the highest rarity hides, that'll sell for the most. But usually, in New World, the highest ranked versions of a material, so in this case Dark Hide, sells for the least. I find in most servers, the hides that actually go for the highest value tend to be Raw Hide or Thick Hide. This is because it's the foundation of all leatherworking in the game. You refine these hides to get to the higher tiered versions. Plus, as players level up, they no longer are in the zones with the lower level mobs needed to get said hides, so there isn't as much of them being farmed, and therefore not as many on the market as well. Dark Hides and Iron Hide usually go for the lowest prices in most servers, simply because at endgame, all the players are killing the higher tier mobs, and therefore there's more of those resources being gathered all the time. Because of this, for the first method, I'll be going after Thick Hide, which is a hide I feel holds a good value in most servers. But don't worry, I'll throw in a spot for every kind of hide after, just in case prices in your server are different. But for Thick Hide, my favorite spot is over here at Boar's Home in Restless Shore. What's great about this spot is that all of the boars spawn in a close distance to one another. There's tons of resources around the place, and if you wanted to, you could even throw in a bit of AFK time into this method. But to get to Boar's Home, you're going to want to teleport into the Shrine of Sisyphus in Restless Shore, and then run a bit north up to the camp. There's tons of boars that spawn in here, including a boss named Tuskgore. He's got a pretty decent drop table, with some gear you can collect for a transmog, and salvage for some extra gold, as well as some decent craft mods. But really, the bulk of your profits here are going to be coming from the hides you skin off all the boars, and the resources around the area. You'll see on screen what the prices for said items are currently going for in Cathasia. I like to start off my grind on this cliff here, jump into the camp, slaughter all the boars, and then go for a quick run around the area gathering all of the resources. I tend to just gather the star metal and ironwood, then come back for the boars, and wait for them to respawn. With a 4-minute respawn time, I like to take a few minutes of AFK time, but if you really didn't want to do that, you can make a wider sweep of the area for resources, as there's a lot nearby, and even kill the lynx as well for some more extra hides, coming back every 4 minutes for the boars. I enjoy AFK time though, and sometimes don't bother with any resources at all, and just kill the boars before going AFK until they spawn. But let's look at the results of 1 hour here, of killing the boars, and just getting the star metal and ironwood around the spawn as well. I managed 5,298 thick hide, 1,712 star metal, 300 motes, 297 pork, 59 juicy ham hocks, 9 infused claws, and 273 shift hide, with a variety of other resources as well. In Cathasia, thick hide goes for 0.37 gold per, star metal goes for 1.95 per, the best mote goes for 1.30 per, pork goes for 0.30 per, juicy ham hocks go for 8.50 per, infused claws go for 50 gold per, and shift hide goes for 3.40 per. That means that with all of the main items, and the added resources as well, my results for 1 hour of grinding here added up to 8,298 gold. A very solid amount for an easy, relaxing method. But of course, maybe thick hide isn't that sought after in your server, so I'll quickly go over a spot for every other kind of hide if you want to farm them. I wouldn't include results though for an hour of grinding these spots, because that would make the video go on forever. For a rawhide, I like this little lap in Windsward. Teleport into the town, then leave through the northern gate and head towards Inkwell Cave. Slaughter and skin the wolves and boars along the way, before dropping off the mountain onto the beach below, and slaughter all the boars along here, over until you reach Fatin Tour. I then run around back to the wolves and continue on with this lap for as long as I feel like grinding. If you feel yourself going too fast and the wolves aren't up by the time you get back, you can make your lap longer around the settlement and grab the wolves and boars there as well before returning to the wolves at Inkwell Cave. The fact that these mobs are so weak and you don't have to switch out of your skinning gear makes this a great spot for those of you who don't want to switch gear sets before every skin. There's also some great resources you can grab on this route as well to increase your profits if you wanted to do so. Next up is Ironhide. I find very little servers tend to have value for this hide, but if yours does, a great spot for farming this is over in the Thunder King Tiger Cave, known as Lahu Hollow. To get here, teleport into the Serenity Shrine in Evanscale Reach, and run east to Lahu Hollow. Just do laps around this area, luring all the tigers together, before mowing them down and skinning them for crazy amounts of hides. Even if the hides have little value in your server, this is still a great spot to level the skill. Plus, with tons of hide tier resources around here, like Orichalcum, Mithril, Ironwood, and more, you can gather those as well to get your profits up. And finally, we have Dark Hide. For this kind of hide, I like to do laps around the Cutlass Keys beaches, just staying out of the PvP zone and farming the alligators here. I start off at either of the teleportation shrines, before following along the beach, killing every gator until I get to the opposite shrine. Then, I teleport back to the shrine I started at and repeat the process. There's lots of resources along this route as well you can gather, which will increase your profits. If you wanted to just stick to the gators, that works great as well. But now that we looked at all the ways to make gold off the hides you can get while tracking and skinning, let's quickly go over one final method that sees you relying more on the meat you can gain from the skill, and that's the rabbit farming method. What makes this farm so great is you're going for multiple sources of gold, plus there's a big ticket item you can get to really skyrocket your gold per hour numbers. For starters, there's the rawhide you'd be gathering. Granted, none of the craziest rates you'll ever see, but we'll be making up for that with the sumptuous rabbit drops. These tend to hold value very well, and will be a large chunk of your gold per hour. I do notice that they are worth more in older servers though, I guess because there's less newer players out there grinding rabbits in them. Also, prices will drop around rabbit's revenge time, and then slowly increase again afterwards, simply due to how many people are rabbit farming around this period. This is a great time to buy up all the sumptuous rabbit though, and hold on to it for later on in the year. You can stand to make a ton of profit doing this. Along with the previously mentioned items, you'll also be getting lots of game meat, which usually isn't the most profitable of meats, but it's extra gold. And there's also the big ticket item that rabbits can drop as well, in the rabbit's foot. This is needed to upgrade luck trophies, so they usually sell for a ton of gold. If you get a couple of these to drop on your grind, you're going to be amplifying your gold per hour numbers by so much. You'll see on screen now how much each of these items go for in Cathasia, and I'll also include the prices in the legacy server Marama, so you can see how much more these items can be worth when less people are on the rabbit grind. But let's go over how I like to grind out rabbits, and that's over on Rabbit Island. To get here, you'll want to teleport into the Moon-based city settlement in Restless Shore, and go slightly northeast to Rabbit Island. There's several rabbits that spawn around this island, that as you kill them, they respawn very quickly, so you'll be getting a good amount of kills in per hour, and it's a lot easier than looking for rabbits out in the open world. Do watch out though, every time you kill the white rabbit Stanley, a mob called Hairkeeper will charge at you. He's very easy to kill though, I don't even switch out of my skinning gear to do so. Plus, he has a pretty decent drop table, and the mods and weapons he drops will just add on to your profits. There's also a decent amount of resources around this area, as you'll see on screen, that can stack onto your profits, if you just run over and grab them when they're up. But for the purpose of testing, for this video, I won't include how much gold you will make from gathering those out on your runs, only from what you get from the rabbits. Now, let's look at what I got from 1 hour of grinding here. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky this run, and didn't get any lucky rabbits feet, but I did get 928 rawhide, 40 sumptuous rabbits, and 192 game meat. In Cathasia, rawhide goes for 0.30 gold per, sumptuous rabbit goes for 60 gold per, and game meat goes for 1.3 gold per. Now, in total, that would only add up to 2,928 in a fresh start server, which is very low, but that's due to how new this server is. It will go up significantly as the server matures. If I was to sell all of this in my main legacy server of Marama, that would bring in 13,069 gold, mainly due to the sumptuous rabbits going for 300 gold each in my server. This is a very good return. So like I mentioned before, always check prices before going out and doing a method, and maybe this method is best for the older servers. Or, if you're just a lucky person and can get those rabbit's feet to drop consistently, using all of the methods mentioned at the start of this video to boost your luck will also help out significantly with this method. If you wanted to do this method, but Rabbit Island is full, and you're looking for more places to grind out rabbits, a link in the top right and video description to my Rabbit's Revenge event guide with the best spots to grind out rabbits. There's some more locations that will work great for doing this in that video. Now, before we end this video, let me just quickly go over a few disclaimers for the previous methods that I calculated gold per hours on. For starters, with every method, the final earnings number needs to have a few notes alongside it. The numbers are calculated without taking into account trading post taxes, so there's a bit of profit loss there, and it doesn't account for the proficiency boosting potions and trade skill food costs, so that's roughly another 100 gold off per method. However, it also doesn't account for the added bonuses of aptitude crates, Azoth, and skill leveling items like strange bones. So if you're converting your Azoth into materials as you're nearing cap, you'll get more gold from that. Plus, after grinding, when you turn your bones into XP, you'll stack up tons of aptitude crates to go along with the ones you've already gotten while out doing these methods, and when opened, we'll just stack up the profits by a ton, especially if you manage to get a trade skill gear pattern, so those will more than cover for the trade posts and consumable costs. Also, it's worth noting, with all methods, that it's worth looking into refining your resources instead of just selling them right away raw. It will require a good amount of math based on prices, which will differ from server to server, but it's worth seeing if it's more profitable to sell your resources raw or refining them before selling them if you want to really maximize profits. I like to just refine no matter what, even if technically you lose a little bit of gold, because the XP you get leads to aptitude crates, which will more than likely make up for the losses in the long run. Plus I like to see my aptitude level rising. But that covers some of the best ways to make gold with the tracking and skinning skill in New World. Have you tried any of these? Or what are some of your favorite ways to make gold with this trade skill? Let me know in the comments below. And if the video was of any help, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. But until next time, have a good one. Thanks for watching another video, and a massive shout out to all the channel members and patrons seen on screen now. Links on how to become one in the video description. If you'd like to learn how to make gold by soloing bosses, click on the video to the left. Or, if you'd like to learn how to make gold off of other trade skills in New World, click on the playlist to the right.